It was World War II, and the United States didn't really have any dedicated heavy tanks. The up-armored medium used at the time, the M4A3E2 Jumbo, was just a stopgap upgrade meant to push out tanks fast while something better was designed. And that new design was the M26 Pershing. However, around this same time, Germany began production of their brand new Tiger II heavy tanks. And now, the Pershing didn't look like it was going to hold up. The US decided they were going to need an even bigger upgrade to counter Germany's King Tiger. The new Pershing tank prototypes were heavy and super heavy tank designs that would help the Allies break through Germany. The Allies knew that once they pushed through France, getting through fortified Germany was going to be a long, drawn-out battle. Heavy tanks would help to provide breakthrough support and hopefully make the invasion of Germany faster. The army drafted up specifications, which prompted ideas from all around the country. Designs were made, prototypes were built, and those prototypes never made it to production. What the Allies didn't know was that battle they were so afraid of would never come. Germany fell much faster than the Allies had expected, and there was no longer a need for a heavy tank design. And now we find that one of those heavy tank prototypes tested on the M26 chassis was the T-29, built out of fear. Built out of the need to be the best. The T-29 wasn't over-engineered, it didn't introduce any new technology, we just fitted a massive gun to an already existing medium tank and called it good. Truly, the T-29 shows us the epitome of American thinking. More gun, more armor, more win. When you start a tech tree for the first time, there are dozens and dozens of different tanks to begin researching before you can ever dream of getting to late game stuff. With so many different options, different play styles, and what you can choose to play, not every tank is going to be a home run for you. Many tanks will feel like just another obstacle between you and the tanks you're actually excited for. Filler vehicles that can't possibly be fun to play. But how can you know without having ever played them? How can you assume that a tank will be fun to play just by driving it around in test drive? You can't. For me, one of those tanks was the T-34. No, I meant the good one. It features a large, curved cast turret with that distinct, yet obnoxious 120mm cannon and plenty of 50 cals to go around. This was a very exciting tank to unlock. Did I think it was good? Did I think it would help me grind faster? I thought it looked cool. Unfortunately, I wasn't nearly as amazed with how it played. The armor ended up feeling just as effective as my Super Pershing, but the part that really killed it for me was the solid shot. As a US main, switching to solid shot only was pain. I mean, now it's not that bad, but when I first unlocked it, I was incredibly disappointed. I dropped the tank. I forgot about it. But I stumbled across something even better. The T-29. It played exactly like my favorite tank, but better. I was already so comfortable with its playstyle before ever even playing it. Like this tank was built just for me. But what exactly makes the T-29 so good in War Thunder? Is it even worth your money? Well, in order to find out, we'll have to start with the T-29 is equipped with a massive 105mm cannon and can fire several ammunition types. One of the APC-BC shots is actually a solid shot and should never be used. The good APC-BC is the T-13 shot, which has 253mm of pen and 177 grams of TNT equivalent. The APCR shot has 292mm of pen and 11.2 kilograms of mass. The HE shell has 15.2 kilograms of total mass and 1.5 kilograms of TNT equivalent. You can choose to bring some hyper shot or high explosive, but I think the T-13 shot is perfectly fine on your own. The difference in pen from APC-BC to APCR isn't enough for me to really consider bringing it. The T-13 has a high enough caliber and explosive mass to destroy any light tanks, so I don't bring the high explosive shell either. If something small really does need to be destroyed and I'm reloading, I can always use the 50 cals. There are 2 coaxial 50 cals in the mantlet and 1 roof mounted 50. The T-29 has a reload time of about 13 seconds with a high-level crew and expert qualifications. The turret also rotates fairly quickly at about 17 degrees per second and has 15 degrees of gun elevation and 10 degrees of gun depression. The T-29 has good gun handling and works well in nearly all terrain. While the T-29 doesn't have a stabilizer, the suspension can allow some semi-accurate shots on the move at low speeds. The T-29 has 158.7 millimeters of cast homogeneous armor all around the turret and including the turret face. The back of the turret is only 102 millimeters thick. The turret mainlet has a few different sections of armor, but the largest piece is 203 millimeters thick. The upper front plate is 102 millimeters thick with another piece of 127 millimeter thick armor above that to protect the turret neck. The lower front plate is 70.25 millimeters thick. The side armor protecting the crew compartment is 76.2 millimeters behind the tracks, and the side armor protecting the engine compartment is only 51 millimeters thick. The whole armor on the T-29 is very weak. German long 88s and anything of greater or equal power can go straight through without any issues. If you angle, then your tracks can eat up a lot of damage thanks to volumetrics. The manlet armor is pretty good, but it too can be penned. You would need a very accurate shot and at least 190 millimeters of pen to go through. However, post-pen damage here is pretty tricky. The manlet will eat up a lot of the shot and maybe only get a crew member or two. Another spot to consider is the turret cheeks. Straight on, the turret cheek on the right provides about 350 millimeters of effective thickness. ATGMs, Heat FS, and discarding Sabo can still get through no problem. If you are given some more angle to work with, the armor will become weaker, and right behind it is a conveniently placed ammo rack. The T-29 is a surprisingly fast World War II heavy tank weighing over 64 tons. The T-29 has a big engine with 770 horsepower and a power-to-weight ratio of 12. The T-29 has a top speed of 35 kilometers forwards and 14 kilometers in reverse. The acceleration is great in both directions. If you have to quickly back up, then the T-29 can get the job done. In the test drive, the T-29 can get up to top speed in just 16 seconds. The mobility here isn't anything to brag about, but you can't really complain about it either. 2 pi squared over 3 out of 10. Let's move on. So here we are at 7.0, and now almost every tank has Heat FS or ATGMs and discarding Sabo. So how do you fight them when you're in a heavy tank? Well, first off, that's not a good way of thinking about it. You can't fight Heat FS unless you have explosive reactive armor. All you can do is avoid Heat FS, and that sounds dumb to say too. You might be in what is classified as a heavy tank, but you don't have good armor. Remember when we were just talking about that? Forget Heat FS or ATGMs for a second. Your giant turret face can be penned just shy of everything, and right behind it is your ammo rack. That's a huge weak spot for the T-29, not to mention that the lower front plate is even less armored. Your goal when playing the T-29 should be to never, ever get shot. That's it. Simple. Are you looking for the true heavy tank experience where you can drive around with impunity and help break through the enemy team? Guess what? Everyone wants that, and it's not fair to the other team if you're invincible. If you really want to beat the enemy team, you have to learn how to play. And the more you play, the more you find out how to not overextend too much or drive in places where you shouldn't be. Don't worry about whether or not you're in a hold down position, just use big objects for cover and third person to look around. If you always see the enemy before they see you, you are so much less likely to get shot. The T-29 is an American heavy tank. That means its armor sucks, it goes 35 kilometers per hour, and it requires a bit of effort if you want to get the kills. The 105 makes one-shotting everything so much fun. The big reason why I love the T-29 is because it can kill the Tiger II-H. Grinding through the US tech tree was a nightmare for me because of the Tiger II. I either could not kill the Tiger II or I almost could. The first time I shot a Tiger II with the T-29 was amazing. I finally had something that could kill this annoying tank, and in one simple shot. This tank is not overpowered. It struggles against heavily armored opponents, its armor is not that great, and the reload time can really get in the way. But the gun is incredibly powerful, it can one-shot everything, the armor can be effective against players who don't know where to shoot, you can angle your tracks, you can play around cover to save yourself from the reload, you're not a brawler, you're not a sniper, you're more like a weak medium tank with a very strong cannon. And sometimes, you can just get away with that. The T29 pack costs $40 from the Gaijin store. This pack also gives you 1,000 golden eagles and 7 days of premium time. If you ever want to grind the US tech tree and you haven't gotten to rank 6 yet, this is the best premium vehicle to get in my opinion. With the T29, I think this is one of the best premium vehicles I have ever spent money on. I love the playstyle, I enjoy all the rewards I get, and I think you will too. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and as always, bye bye.